Okay, here we go. This is drawing a 1963 Corvette, and this is lesson number one. I saw this picture online and I thought it was so pretty that I just wanted to do it. And I just did a new car. I did the NASCAR 13 car, so now we're going to go back to doing an old car, and that's what I usually do, is to alternate between new and old. So this is our older car, and when I was a kid, my dad was a friend of the publisher of Road and Track magazine, and he got the cover. He got one of these advanced copies of the magazine that showed this Corvette and the convertible version in 1963. And this was going to be a major thing until the magazine was on the newsstands. I wasn't able to show it to anybody, but I had this thing 2 months in advance of the real date. So it was driving me crazy. I had this magazine with this beautiful car, these two beautiful cars, the convertible and the hardtop, the coupe, and I couldn't show it to anybody. It just drove me crazy. I wish I'd never gotten the darn things. It was really frustrating. When you have information like that, you want to share it, and I couldn't do it. So, oh well, that's how it works. But these were a really cool car. And they only made the split window like this, of course, 1 year, and they were quite a revelation. That's a huge rear window, of course, even though it's split in two pieces. And it was quite a radical departure for the body styling, too. I think most guys, of course, were probably more Chevy fans than Ford fans, but when they saw this car, they just were completely blown away that it was so different and so exciting looking. And it still evokes a lot of interest and emotion today. I go to old car shows, and when somebody brings out one of these cars, a 63, everybody just pours over the thing and takes photographs like crazy, and you'd think it's the latest Bugatti or something. It's just it's really amazing how this car has stood the test of time, and how it looks at least as good now as it did then, maybe better. But that's why, it was one of the reasons that I had to do this car, because it's just such a pretty car. I thought it would really be something that would be of interest to people who are into cars and are into body styles and drawing. So at least this will be fun. We'll get to look at this car for some number of episodes, however long this is that it takes to finish it. But a friend of mine had one of these cars, and he said it was really still just one of those cars you drive down the street and people honk, wave, smile, do whatever because they think it's so cool. And it's like a Model T or something, a really trick car. Anyway, again, this is the way I start. I do the darkest parts first, and then I work on the lighter parts and try to make them correspond to the representative values in color. Of course, it's black and white, but there's still values, tonal values, and some are dark and some are light. You can see the places underneath the fender wells are completely in shadow, so those are going to be almost completely black in the drawing. So I darkened those up right away. The tires, not so much. Some of them will be exposed to sunlight, and that's why they cast a shadow, so you'll see that there will be some lighter parts on those. So that's why I make them kind of a grayish color, and that's just by having fewer black dots in it. So the fewer the black dots, the more white you see, the lighter it is, and that therefore it becomes gray. Anyway, so that's what I'm doing, and there's a fairly large shadow. The sun is obviously coming from the front end of this car, and there is a fairly large shadow underneath the rear of the car, and you can only see a small portion of it here, but there's a lot to work on there. So that's going to take probably almost a whole episode to get all these shadows down underneath the car before we actually start on the body itself. So I'm thinking that probably the next lesson is still going to be doing the rest of this wheel and tire, or the rest of the tire, and then all the shadow underneath the car before we ever get to the body. But I could surprise myself and we could get a little bit farther along. We'll just see how that plays out. But I really love this car, so it's going to be for me just a labor of love to go ahead and draw this thing. And with all the little bitty elements that are in it, it's going to be fun to do too. Time consuming, but very interesting. Anyway, getting toward the end here today. Tomorrow, like I say, come on back, and if you do, then you'll probably see us working on the shadow underneath the car, and we might even get a little bit on the body. But we'll try and do as much as we can and get this thing rolling along so we know where we are. Anyway, I hope to see you back here tomorrow, and thank you very much. Goodbye.